Fat. My face got thinner.
Yeah,
like when I
you
was
look
washing
thinner.
my face, energy levels like this, straight. You don't crash.
Right.
There's no ups and downs and peaks and valleys. The best results that I've ever had with vitiligo. Like the spots fill in at like a pretty rapid rate.
Hey, so Joe Rogan has been posting about his experience and raving about the benefits he's had from the carnivore diet. I want to highlight 3 big benefits that he's seen on the diet itself and just talk about some of the reasons why that might be the case. So he started the carnivore diet in January. He did it because his friend Jordan Peterson, some of the people that he thought were really smart, were on the diet and he really respected them. And he's also a fan of eating animal foods. So it kind of worked really well for him and he figured he would give it a shot. After the 30-day experiment, he had some interesting feedback. During the process, he obviously experienced some gut issues. He talked about something he called something beyond diarrhea. His gut was just kind of going all over the place.
Explosive diarrhea.
It needs to have a new name. Diarrhea is not strong enough for what I was experiencing.
For real?
And in my book, and from my own personal experience, as well as talking and working with a lot of other people on the diet, this is certainly something that can happen. Your gut flora changes, your body's adjusting, you're eating foods that aren't as fibrous, basically do not have fiber at all. And instead of having fiber going through your system and fermenting in your larger parts of your digestive tract and your large intestine and your colon, you're just getting a lot of animal foods and a lot more fat in your stomach and in your small intestine. And so there's a shift there. And I think what's happening for people is, especially early on, as they figure out what works well and what doesn't work well, it can be sort of a bit of an adjustment, if you will. Anyways, the 3 things that he discussed. 1, his stubborn fat around his face, around his midsection. In the video clip, he explains how essentially he lost all this fat, how his face just felt thinner, how he had really trimmed down.
Wow.
Just fat. My face got thinner.
Yeah,
Like when I
you
was
look
washing
thinner.
my face, I would feel, actually it feels a little fatter now because I went through Disneyland.
And it's cool to see that, and it makes a lot of sense. Again, when you think about the carnivore diet, what's happening here? Why are people losing weight? Well, you're not eating carbohydrates on this diet in nearly the amount of excess that you normally do on a standard American diet or a more plant-based diet. And when you're not eating a heavy carb diet, you're essentially shifting over towards the ketogenic aspect. When your body doesn't have carbs coming in, it no longer has insulin produced to balance blood sugar. When you don't have blood sugar that needs to be balanced because you don't have spikes in it because you're on a low carb diet like the carnivore diet, your body can tap into the fat cells and the energy reserves in your body. A lot of it gets carried in your midsection. So you see people, myself included, where we just don't carry a lot of fat, whereas a lot of people who are on a more traditional diet or are eating more carbohydrates, because they're constantly elevating levels of insulin in their body cannot tap into the stores of energy and carbohydrates within their body. And so your body's just not going to turn on and release fat cell reserved energy when the hormone is in your bloodstream, insulin, telling it to store excess carbohydrates as energy. It just doesn't make sense from a metabolic perspective. It's not ancestrally consistent. I'd argue that we ancestrally ate carbohydrates much more rarely. We ate animal foods the majority of our evolution with some carbs here and there, but we certainly didn't consume the amount of carbohydrates in the volume and in the regularity that we do in today's society. And that's what's causing a lot of people to get sick, to get overweight, to develop pre-diabetic conditions, and to see things like fat accumulation in their midsection, in their face, in all these areas, and get overweight. So it's really cool to see that. It makes a lot of sense. It's really a testament to the diet itself, how powerful it is. You're just eliminating the triggering of insulin, and it's allowing your body to hormonally shift and allow it to tap into the fat reserves and use those as energy and essentially reset. He mentions that he has really clear and strong, steady energy throughout his day, all the way until the end. And again, this is another reason why I became such a big fan of this diet. You're getting nutrient-rich foods, you're not spiking your blood sugar, you're essentially in a ketogenic diet, so you're running on ketones a lot of the time, and they're more metabolically efficient. They provide more energy per oxygen, they have less reactive oxidative species in your body, they don't cause as much oxidative damage. They also are just more conducive to stable energy because you're not elevating blood sugar with these spikes postprandial. When you eat your carbohydrates, your blood sugar will go up and then it'll go down. Your body's sort of fighting to balance that out and normalize that. In this case, you're just always zoomed in and tapped in to your actual fat reserves, and that supply is so abundant within your body reserves as well as how your body's designed to operate.
When you have no carbohydrates, one of the things that's most amazing is that there's no crashing. You would eat and you don't feel any different after you ate other than the fact that you don't feel hungry. You don't crash.
Right.
There's no ups and downs and peaks and valleys.
Think about this. Ancestrally, we probably went for periods often throughout our weeks or months where we just didn't have food. And so our bodies adapted to live off of our fat reserves and to operate metabolically healthily off of fat. When you're eating a diet that's low in carbohydrates, you're essentially in that mode. You're shifted in that mode, and your energy that you're getting from the ketone bodies, which is things like beta hydroxybutyrate that your body is running on, are going to be more metabolically efficient. And as a side note, your brain absolutely can use ketones. It's one of the biggest hacks that we've kind of discovered in the last maybe decade that we've sort of made mainstream. And it's also showing that it's metabolically more efficient in that respect as well to give you energy to be clear. So when he talks about having clear energy, it makes a lot of sense. He's not spiking blood sugar. He's running on ketone bodies. He's in a ketogenic fashion. He's got a huge amount of that reserve within his body built up, and he's able to just consistently, evenly run on that stream of energy.
So far, this is the most amazing thing.
I would just be, oh, sorry.
Energy levels like this, straight. There's no
That's
fluctuations.
surprising. Because the carbs, insulin.
There's no carbs. There's no carbs.
The last point I want to mention that kind of changed his life or made major adjustments was his vitiligo. Vitiligo is a condition in your skin where you can have pigmentation that's different, spots, white spots. It's just pigment that changes. I personally don't experience it, but some people do, and we believe it's an autoimmune disorder. What's beautiful about the carnivore diet is for a lot of people who have autoimmune issues such as joint pain, arthritis, psoriasis, eczema, and a whole slew of other gut issues and inflammation, the carnivore diet is very low inflammatory. It's very low autoimmune triggering. It does not trigger your immune system to hyperactive levels. And so these sort of long-standing issues that people are having sometimes for decades without any sort of relief, even with medical work and supervision and pharmaceutical intervention, are being reversed because the source, the root cause of it is going away. So for Joe, he specifically talks about how his vitiligo, he's pretty much never seen it clear up nearly as much as he did when he went on the carnivore diet.
The best results that I've ever had with vitiligo, like the spots fill in at like a pretty rapid rate. I do believe there are certain people that have an adverse reaction to some plants, some foods. That's what an elimination diet is all about. It's like trying to find out what are the things that bother you.
Yeah.
So obviously for many people, it's a restrictive diet. You want to eat some of the foods. And I think the beauty of it is you can take it as an elimination diet to optimize and reset your health. Once you find out and get yourself dialed in that way, you get rid of the noise. You get rid of all the food that's out there that might be triggering you, and you can slowly reintroduce things. And when you reintroduce the foods, you'll find out what works and what doesn't work. I personally love dark chocolate. I love some of these other cheats like avocados. I can't reintroduce avocados. I get sick, I don't feel good. For whatever reason, they don't work for my body. Dark chocolate, I've reintroduced it. And from time to time I can do it. As long as the quality of the cocoa and the milk itself works for me, I don't have a problem with it. It does vary, and I can also eat other foods. Certain cheeses I can do well with, other ones I can't. So the beauty of this, if you can lose weight, you can have sustained energy, and you can reverse autoimmune diseases, why wouldn't you give this a shot?
This is what I would say. Try it. Just try
it
a carnivore diet. Try it straight out.
Right.
And I think you'll be amazed at how good you feel.
I wanted to put this out there. I think it's awesome. If you're new to the carnivore community, welcome. If you want to learn more, we have a full guide. It's free. Go download it at the link below in the video description. And if you're new to the channel, hit that subscribe button, like button, drop a comment if you've had experience on the carnivore diet, if it's helped you with any sort of autoimmune conditions. Let's spread the word. Let's help people reverse their negative health consequences of eating foods that are making them sick, and let's really get clear about what the power of this kind of eating can do for them.